Let's welcome Appconomy, our first company. Is that yours?
Good. Thank you. Recently, I was on a school fundraising team, and the group was trying to find a way to simply communicate with each other. And we tried Facebook. Some of us love it, some of us not so much. Others refuse to get on Facebook. So we had a broken group communication problem. It's a multi-channel issue, and we have an app for that. And that app is called Group In, and we're announcing it and launching it here today. Steve's going to launch into the Group In app. He's a Group In app user. He's going to open the app, and right away you see Steve has groups that cut across his work, his life, and his play activities. And there's our school fundraising group, and we're going to go right into that. And right there, you have multi-channel group communication tailored to Steve across all these different channels, including Facebook and Twitter right now. The Appconomy channel is a private messaging channel. It's private only to the group. You can get an instant in-app notification when a message is sent out, and Steve is going to send the team a message right now about a dinner donation we're looking for the auction from a local restaurant. He's simply clicking on the message, and he's going to type it to the team. As a Group In member and a member of this team and a user of the app, I'm going to get an in-app notification instantaneously, and I can look at that message and reply to it. If I'm not on Group In, I'll get an email, and I can still interact with the group. It's that simple.
Now, the next thing I'm going to do is go out to my Facebook network and see if anybody has responded to a message I put out to members who are members of my Group In group, but also members of my extended Facebook group. And indeed, I sent an inquiry out, posted an inquiry earlier, and I've gotten a couple replies back from friends in my extended Facebook network that I can take. One's a sushi restaurant, Uchi, and another one's Kenichi.
So Steve can easily reach out to his entire social network beyond the group and find a lead for this restaurant, and now he's going to bring it back home right into the group. And the way he's going to do that is not bother the entire group with the dreaded reply to all. He is going to click communicate and select a couple people from the group and send them an email and get them onto this Kenichi donation. And he knows these people have connections with Kenichi, and they're going to go work on that project right now. It's pretty simple to send that, and now you can receive it via email and move on, and the whole group was not distracted with this message. Now, one of the other cool things about this app is you're never a swipe away from any one of your group members. With a simple swipe, you get a series of communication options for that channel. And this is tailored to Twitter, and you see only Twitter options on it, and it's Twitter blue. The Appconomy one is red, and you'll have different options. And you can call somebody, email them, text them right from the app while you're in the context of the message that you're looking at. And that's Group In. And that's not it yet. We want to introduce a couple more things to you today. We are going to be introducing many more channels, and you'll see those right here. These channels are all coming soon on the app. We are also going to be introducing enterprise groups, and for a small fee, maybe not so small, you can connect to your back office and get things like CRM feeds for major account teams and ERP feeds for budget teams, and you can work in a private way inside your enterprise within the Group In app and easily flip between your personal life and your work life. And for companies seeking to find their fans, we are announcing soon branded groups where people can join their favorite brands and express their loyalty, but beyond that, start conducting app commerce in those brands where they can manage loyalty points, purchases, receive custom tailored messages from those groups. And that's Group In. We are coming out as soon as Apple lets us out onto the iPhone and iTouch and iPad through the Apple App Store soon, and soon after, probably this summer, on Android. Thank you.
David, you make enterprise group software with Yammer. It's very successful. Millions and millions of users over the last 2 years. What do you think about this group collaboration, consolidating it into one app?
Right. I guess well, let me get some clarification, I guess, on the product. So is the idea to aggregate groups from these other sites, or are you creating a new group? I wasn't quite clear on exactly what the the product does?
You can create a new group if a group doesn't exist today on a channel. If you have an existing group, you can integrate that as a feed into here. So if you have a Facebook group, or in fact, we would like to have a Yammer channel as well, and you already have a Yammer group, that is one stream that can pull in among many others. So we're trying to provide multiple channels of communication. If a group already exists, we pull that in through that channel. If it doesn't, we have a way for the group to collaborate within the app channel itself.
So the idea is, okay, so I can sort of pull in my Facebook groups and Yammer groups and then create a new group as well? Is that sort of the idea? Or?
That is the idea. So a Facebook group, if you have it, not everybody's on Facebook, and we found that with our school fundraising problem. That was an actual use case. The idea is, even in a work group, a Facebook feed is relevant, an email feed is relevant, a Twitter feed is relevant. Knowing that somebody's kid won a soccer game the night before actually brings context into your work collaboration that happens the next day, and you can have that on a work feed. And also other feeds exist within work, such as documents from SharePoint. A CRM feed could happen for an account team, and you'd want an account feed from that particular account within CRM, and that would be just another tab. And then you can have a collaboration tab, which could be a Yammer tab as well.
So sorry, I don't want to monopolize the time here, but is there anything that I can't do with a Facebook group that I can do with your product? Or what is it that Facebook groups isn't providing that you're solving?
For collaborating with somebody that's not on Facebook is one.
I tend to think that's a increasingly shrinking portion of the world.
In this particular group, we had 20 people, and only 14 of them were on Facebook.
But if they're not on Facebook, what makes you think they're going to be on your product?
Well, I mean, I think one thing I'd offer is that this gives the individual a choice. If you are on email all the time, or if, for example, your kids live on text, or say my college kids are on Facebook, or it's somebody who happens to want to just sort of have a single purpose private group, you can combine all those channels into our group, build different groups according to that, and each person can kind of see the communication stream the way they want to. So it
channel
really provides
agnostic.
a choice.
I mean, it's really channel agnostic. We can pull in as many channels as you want and only use the ones that are relevant to me. If I'm a Facebook guy, great, and I can connect to my Facebook network. If I'm not, great, it doesn't prevent me from participating with the group through any one of these communication means. And a lot of times you end up running into an urgent need where you need to get in touch with somebody urgently and you want to call them or text them or email them. And we just provide that right at your fingertips to be able to do that from right within the context of the group.
George or Aaron, I see you're...
Yeah, I have some bias here because I'm an early investor in Yammer. So I love the general idea of what you're going after. A bunch of my questions are very similar to David, so I won't repeat that. But one of I sit in the lucky position of basically seeing a lot of companies getting started because I'm an active seed stage investor and Series A venture investor, and there's a lot of people going after the group space. So I'm just wondering what you're going to do to stick out amongst everyone else. I'd say I get about 2 groups proposals, serious ones, a week.
Absolutely, and most of those I would consider to be feature apps. They're attacking either the text messaging side of it or a separate group communication channel. Not looking at the multi-channel nature of it and saying, well, what if I have a group that does extend beyond my enterprise? Well, one of these channels limits me to the enterprise. The other one allows me to extend behind it.
Go ahead.
I think we're kind of diving down a rat hole here. So some basic questions. Enterprise, small business, or consumer target? Which one?
It's a consumer-targeted app.
Okay,
It's
so
it's groups for everybody.
Consumer?
Consumer for
Okay.
everybody. So this, we think,
Yeah,
it
so
would
you're going
cut.
to get killed unless you're best in class on mobile for consumer. I think there's an opportunity maybe in enterprise for mobile because nobody's doing that well, and I think LinkedIn hasn't really gone after mobile very well, and there's plenty of opportunities there, although I'm sure my former boss here would like to say that they have their hat in the ring. So just some basic feedback on pitch. So one thing is vocal tone and everything. The audio here sucks, so pitch your voice high, change volume a lot. You're monotone, droning, we're not catching it. It's hard for me to hear. I can't quite see the screen. So you need to really emphasize and be excited about your company, because right now you don't look excited at all about your company. You look like it's a job, right? So I'm not getting excited. Why should I be excited if you're not excited? So clear identification of customer, what's the value proposition, dive right into it, and then address objections on all that stuff. You're not winning us over here at all, and I would agree with George, see tons of group stuff, so why is groups important? So I'd be mobile, nobody's doing groups on mobile very well, except actually they are. There's tons of people that are doing groups on mobile right now. Excessive valuations. So yeah, so tough space, and I agree. Like, hard to think that Facebook doesn't kill this segment.
Neil, you were.
I just want to add one more comment, which is I think the challenge in the group space, because there is a ton of it, I agree, is actually in the group formation process. That's the hard thing to do well, whether it's location-based or existing friend-based. It's in your space, picking across multiple channels and be able to set up a group of those 20 people that come from lots of different places. I didn't really see that as part of the pitch, but I think you're describing, once that's done, the endpoint of why it's valuable, but I don't think if you get through the group formation part of the application very elegantly, then the second part is hard to execute.
Okay. Group formations, yeah, straightforward. We wanted to dive right into the actual group part of it. Just to counter, one point, Dave, on that is, the enterprise mobile is personal and work right now. These things are your personal devices and they're your work devices. So this has to cut across both personal channels as well as work channels, as well as groups. Groups cut across both as well. So if you just have an enterprise or you just have a personal group, it doesn't work. So the multiple channels fits every single group use case, and that's what we're after.
I'm still a big fan of niche to win, but one thing I wasn't understanding, are you curating information about mobile apps, other mobile apps? Is that part of the pitch or not part of the pitch? No. Okay.
No, that wasn't part of the pitch.
So you're just trying to provide a basic groups application.
This is a groups application for group communication across any channel.
Super competitive space. I think trying to be everything to everybody, there's a lot of people competing for this, so a little bit more specific focus on customer, industry, or demographic for me would be helpful. I'm a small fund. For larger funds, they may want you to go after everything, but personally, I think that's death.
You could also focus in on a new sector, which is like regime change for groups.
Yeah.
There's that.
According to new regimes, yes.
So,
It's kind of
good.
enterprise.
Aaron or Yossi?
How about groups for group-based startups?
Kevin?
I actually see value in something like this because more often than not, I get communication from friends and colleagues via Facebook, and they assume because I'm on Facebook that that's how I want to communicate, and that's not what I want to communicate. The way I want to communicate. Oftentimes I'll miss messages because they're sending them to me via Facebook. So I see the groups thing, actually the value not being for there's great value for the person that's creating the groups and sending, but more for the recipient to be able to choose the channel. And if you could focus the experience on that to make it easy, like if I did get a message through the wrong channel, that I could switch to the channels I wanted and I could have multi-channels. I see great value in that. I also, from a user experience perspective on the groups creation side, being able to create smart lists, smart groups, where you could cull interests and data about people that you want to communicate with from these various platforms, aggregate that into one place, and then say, I want to talk to everybody that's interested in X, Y, and Z, that is in this location, that sort of thing. And it could even be real time, like people that my friends that are nearby, that sort of thing.
And that's a roadmap item, and I do want to highlight that one particular point where one of the things behind the grouping piece of this market is when you actually look at groups, we actually interact with about a couple dozen or a few dozen people on a regular basis, on a day-to-day, week-to-week, and month-to-month basis. So if you have hundreds of friends on Facebook, you are missing a lot of feeds from those most important people in that circle of 20 or 30. And that is one thing that this absolutely does bring together, is you're not going to miss those important feeds from Facebook. And then, roadmap item, obviously, when we start connecting to other channels, we can start doing some intelligent mining of the data that's in there and the communications that are happening and forming groups that way too. So that's out in the roadmap.
Kevin or Yossi, any thoughts?
I will say only one thing for the purpose of not being left out. So I'm here, there is a microphone, so I have to say something. Groups are very appealing, no doubt about it. The tricky issue is the setup. Populating the groups is a headache. If you will be able to harvest, as you suggested, automatically, transparently, and all the other leads, that it will be very palatable, then this is a critical issue. I would like to make one comment, if I may. Before Facebook was so dominant and powerful, there were Bebo and there were MySpace and there were some other guys. And they came and took the space, and maybe one day somebody will come and eat their lunch. So sure, it's a tough proposition. On the other hand, this is the biggest ecosystem right now on the internet. So if you are going fishing, go and fish where you have fish, not in a desert. So I wouldn't rule out to come with an application. You could have said the same thing about Zynga. Why should they go to Facebook? And still there are rumors that they are doing pretty well. So
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess, can I just respond to that real quick? So I think the issue is when I hear a startup say something
I
like...
don't believe what I said, but for the sake of
Okay.
argument.
Okay, well, I guess for the sake of argument, whenever I hear a startup say something like, we're going to go after the users Facebook doesn't have, it always strikes me as a big problem because you want early adopters to be able to embrace your product. And somebody who's not one of the first 650 million users of Facebook is not an early adopter. They're going to be very recalcitrant sort of users, very hard to get, very hard to get them to try anything. So you really, with Zynga, the difference is they're getting the Facebook users. So I think you want to try and go after the early adopter ecosystem,
And
not trying to appeal to people who don't want to play in that.
I just want to be clear.
All right, we've run out of time.
You have to go after two kinds of users, the Facebook users and the non-Facebook users.
All of them, yeah.
And
I
then
think
you
that
are
works. I do want to be clear, Jason.
Final
that
word, Kevin?
David, we did not say we're going after the non-Facebook users. There are non-Facebook users that this is useful for. The reason we have a Facebook channel is Facebook's relevant. Not everybody's using groups, and it's not the
Is
only
there
place where you can
anybody
do
in
group
the
communication.
audience who is not using Facebook? Raise your hand.
Those are conscientious objectors. I just want to point
I
out.
don't understand my accent.
All right.
North Korea
We have,
in the house.
we have to stop this because it's becoming a train wreck. Kevin, you have any final words?
In closing, I would simply suggest to beat his suggestion on your monotone is to study Christopher Walken. There's a fluctuation there's a fluctuation that becomes musical, my friend, and along with a change of shoe choice, it will help you.
Hey-oh. All right.
Your groups are awesome. They just need more cowbell.
Okay. Wait, Shervin wants one last.
I just want to say, I'll have to use my grand jury status to say I'm officially branding Dave McClure the Colonel Gaddafi of startups.
All right.
That's like slamming a baby
Can I turn off the monitor?
But I would love to spend some time with you guys and brainstorm a little bit to help you on the product.
Great.
All right. There you go. Well done, guys. You
All
took
right,
the
thanks.
meeting well.